Imagine working your entire life to achieve a singular goal. And upon finally achieving that goal, you gradually begin to lose a sense of pleasure, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of purpose, a sense of who you are, beginning to question, do I belong? Is this really what I want? And as a result, beginning to underperform so significantly that goal you have worked so hard to achieve is suddenly stripped away from you. In today's episode, I sit down with LPGA professional Gina Kim to talk about her journey, specifically the emotional toll of losing tour status, the identity crisis that followed, and the deep work she prioritized regularly, consistently to rebuild herself from the inside out and reclaim tour status. Buckle up. You're going to enjoy this conversation. You're going to learn a tremendous amount as you get a literal peek inside the mind of an LPGA professional. And as I mentioned, Gina Kim, professional golfer on the LPGA Tour, she played her college golf at Duke University, and before Duke, competed at the highest levels of junior golf. During her time at Duke, she earned multiple collegiate wins, multiple consistent top finishes, became an all ACC selection and a WGCA All-American honorable mention, played on the national championship team, and constantly served as a dominant force all of her years at Duke. She turned professional in 2022, earning tour status through the LPGA Q Series, which is one of the most grueling qualifying processes in professional golf. And since turning pro, she's competed regularly on tour and recorded multiple top 10 finishes already early in her career. Have something to take notes with. This is an incredible conversation. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Gina, you lost your tour card a couple years ago, and then you fought immensely hard to earn it back. I'd love to hear more about that journey, what it felt like after having such a successful, accomplished college career, and then to suddenly have what you'd been working so hard from taken away from you.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I think it was just a culmination of emotions. I mean, I walked off the 18th green at Q Series and I missed it out by 2 shots, and that was from literally a 3-hole stretch. Like, I mean, I went double, bogey, bogey, and I mean, I was just really going through it. I'd like to think I was in the mental trenches, as I'd like to call it. But that whole season in general, I mean, I would come off the golf course just crying every single round. I was not enjoying myself. I truly and honestly was thinking about throwing in the towel and retiring. And it got to that point, and it was something that I never really seriously considered until then. But I think towards the end of the season, when I actually made I made a change and found a new swing coach, and he was all about routine and process and just absolutely almost getting obsessive about the process. He was like, you need to be borderline obsessive about this. I don't care where you end up, where you finish up, but we need to almost have it as an obsession. And I think that kind of kick-started a full circle moment and a comeback journey, in the sense where even though I was so disappointed and I pretty much lost my job and I had to go back down to Epson, I still walked off that green and I told my caddy and I said, I cannot wait to get back to work during the off season. I finally have the time to work on the things I want to work on. I was like, this is perfect. What a great opportunity. And I think being able to change the perspective on that really got me excited on how good I could possibly get. My coach was like, I don't care about Hall of Fame. I care about Hall of Fame Gina Kim, what would that look like for you?
Yeah.
What is your best
Oh,
version of Gina Kim? How do you see yourself? So there was a lot of like self-reflection during the off season. Even though I wasn't hitting balls, I was really thinking to myself, what does acceptance look like to me? What
um,
does the best version of Gina Kim look like? When I step on the tee box, how am I reacting? How am I standing? How am I breathing? Like, I mean, we're really going through the nitty-gritty detail of how I saw myself. And being able to reflect on that really just helped me manifest it, I guess you would say. Um,
yeah.
and that's not to say that I immediately expected that I was gonna succeed on the Epson tour. I actually had no idea how I was gonna do. Um,
Yeah.
but just taking it one day at a time and trying to live out the version of myself that I wanted to be just opened up a lot of doors for me.
That's incredibly well said. I have so many follow ups and directions, but I want to start here. I find it fascinating. I am a big believer. I tell my audience and my coaching clients this all the time. Once you identify whatever it is you want in life, you have to first get clear on who do I need to become to achieve that goal. So hearing you, it almost appears to me that you strip down the layers of Gina to her core. Like, who am I? Who do I need to be to get back to the tour? What did that reflection process like tangibly look like? Was it journaling? Was it meditation, silence, coaching? Like, tell us more.
So I would like to believe I'm a very self-aware person to begin with.
Okay.
Like, I do hold a lot of convictions, but if somebody brings in a different perspective, I'll be like, "Oh, well, that's interesting. Tell me more," and I'll
Hmm.
hear you out. And I usually filter it in the way I find reasonable and how I understand it. But
Mm-hmm.
I also love taking walks, silent walks,
Mm.
just
Yeah.
and usually I'm very visual. I have to see myself doing the things I want to accomplish. So while I'm walking, I'll usually kind of visualize which way the wind is blowing. Is the sun shining? And how's my energy level that day? Okay, are my shoulders like squared back?
Yeah.
Is my head up, not like all slouched over like this? I mean, we're talking really detailed stuff that normally I would like pass over really easily, but my psychologist like, you need to be able to see yourself in order for it to become reality. She was like, you have to envision that for it to become reality because the visual part of the brain, it's very, very powerful. Like you're basically training your subconscious to believe that's what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
she was like, somebody who's pretty much the best at it is she was like Tiger Woods. Like he literally made things happen out of sheer willpower. So I've been doing that. I've been journaling. And even with the journaling, some days it's, you know, just a bunch of random thoughts and I toss them on the page. Other days it's, okay, what's my process? How am I going to go about hitting this tee shot? How am I going to go about playing this course? Because everyone has a different way they see the course. It's all about
Yeah.
perspective. What's my perspective? Some days it's, what does confident Gina look like to you? What does scared
Mm.
Gina look like to you? Okay, when scared Gina shows up on the tee box, what do you think is going to usually happen? So I know my
Yeah.
tendencies when I'm really stressed. And so I have different kind of like little niche tricks to manage it. Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it comes up here and there. Like, I'm not going to say I'm perfect now. Like, I
Yeah.
still have my moments where, when pressure hits and we're coming down the stretch and I'm in contention, I'm going to be stressed and I'm going to be freaking out. So it's a matter of like, okay, well, I know my tendencies. What can I do to manage it? What can I do
Yeah.
to stick with the process and get my brain back to where it needs to be? So I spent a lot of time every day just doing that, just sitting with myself. So
I am so glad I asked you that question. That for everyone listening, there is so much gold there. Like you're listening to a professional athlete, a superstar with so many wins and accomplishments under her belt, talk to you about rebuilding her identity. And you didn't mention anything about going to the range, short course, this, that, or the other. I know that was pertinent in your approach. Don't get me wrong, but it's so important for you listening right now to hear that Gina led with sitting in silence, walking in silence, reflecting, journaling, visualizing. Everything she began putting her attention to is where her energy started to go. And it started to show up to manifest in reality. So it's really interesting to me, Gina, that if you think about your incredibly decorated career at Duke, you're surrounded in college, you've got the structure, teammates, the coaches, you've got a clear system, framework, expectations. And then suddenly you turn pro and it's like, oh, wait a second. Now I'm the CEO. Now I'm the one driving the boat. I imagine that's quite the contrast going from so much structure and support to kind of having to figure it out on your own. What was the hardest part for you in kind of that identity shift in that new chapter of life?
Yeah, I tell people this all the time. I think college golf is intense, but it's a different kind of intensity from pro golf. And the way I differentiate it is college golf, it's a lot of golf in a short time span. Like we're talking usually 3 or 2 days. I mean, you're playing 36 whole days in some tournaments. NCAA, same thing. I mean, you're jam packing a lot of holes in within, however many days you get to go on for.
Mhm.
But pro golf, it's kind of like that slow burn that
Hmm.
what could be a torturous cycle or what could be a very process oriented, calm, journey,
Yeah.
however you want to look at it. I took the torturous cycle my rookie year, but I find myself, I think I didn't really know myself. Cause, people tell you where to show up, when to show up, what to do. Even like, they give structure during practice too. So I'm doing drills. I'm doing my own personal drills. I'm also doing drills that our coaches
Yeah.
give us. But I also have other things in college golf and in college life that helped get my brain off of, you know, the downsides. Well, in pro golf, you just had a crappy round. Well, now you got to go back to the hotel, four walls around you, and you're just sitting there and you have all the
Yeah.
opportunity to spiral. So I didn't know how to stop myself from spiraling.
Mm.
At this point, as a rookie, golf had become 100% of everything that I lived, breathe, eat, sleep, everything. And when you have a crappy round, like my emotions literally depended on how I played that day. And so it becomes a very slippery slope of
Yeah.
I'm on top of the world versus I'm a total failure and I don't know why I'm out here. I'm questioning my career choices. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the hardest part was figuring out what worked for me, knowing myself. I used to practice till my hands bled and until I dropped basically. That was my whole mantra. Keep practicing till you can do it with your eyes closed. Well, in pro golf, you're playing every week, 4 week stretches, 5 week stretches in a row. 2024 was my worst year. Towards the end of the season, my wrist was hurting so bad that I'm like, what do I do about this? So I actually was forced to cut down on my practice time because my wrist just could not handle it at that
Mm.
point anymore. I'm getting older every year. My body's slowly not able to keep up. So it's like, okay, well, I got all this time on my hands. Where am I going to invest it?
Yeah.
And so that's when the whole self reflection process came around. And I'm like, maybe there is a different way to go about this.
Yeah. So for me, I hear this big theme of like isolation. Professional sports can be isolating if you don't surround yourself with the right people. And even just any next level of success, the more success you have, typically the more isolating it can be. So for you, like I hear like you started to reflect, find and reinvent yourself. But what did you do to begin on a day-to-day basis, really manage your emotional health, maintain that mental stability and resiliency to keep going forward?
One of the things that I became really, really diligent about, and this is something that my assistant coach back at Duke really emphasized, but I never really took it to heart until I turned pro and I looked back, I was like, oh, so that's where we're going with this. But last year, at the beginning of the Epson Tour season, when I was still nervous about how the season was going to play out and how everything was going to work out, I made it a habit as soon as I woke up in the morning, I would tell myself, I'm showing up every single day with high quality work, high quality intentions, I cannot see a future where this does not work. Like it's going to work because there's no other choice. I have no other choice. Um, I would tell myself that every single day. I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in high quality work. I'm giving myself the best chance that I can. How could this not work? And so it became, I think around like 3 weeks, it slowly started to sink in. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I am putting in good work. Yeah, and I am getting disappointed, but I am putting in good work. It's going to have to come back around some way, somehow. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
Um, and then the narrative that I tell myself, instead of saying I suck, I'm very a tough love kind of gal. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat things. So when somebody tells me, "Oh, it's okay, everything's okay," no, there's nothing okay about me being 5 over through 13 holes. There's nothing okay about it. But but instead of saying I suck, I would say, "Well, that sucked. That situation sucked. But you know what? We got 5 holes left. Let's try to make this into a less sucky day. What am I going to do about it? What's the plan from here on out?" Clearly the plan for the past 13 holes was not working, so we need to pivot and we need to make up a new plan. What is it going to be for these next 5 holes? So I think I've slowly started switching my mindset into taking things as feedback rather than personal attacks. And it just taken off a lot of pressure off my shoulders.
Yeah, understandably so. I'm curious, and maybe it's that specific example you use, but is there a round that really stands out as you reflect where it clicked? It really began to come together like, oh, you know what? I am not my past 13 holes. I'm here. I can finish strong. Like, was there one tournament or round that really stands out where your mental game started to click and elevate?
Let's see. I You know what? The It was one of the final events on the Epson Tour season last year. It was in Arkansas.
Okay.
That golf course was very difficult. I mean, to be honest, I was like, wow, this is playing almost as difficult as an LPGA major. It's a beautiful course. It was the Murphy shootout, like the El Dorado Murphy shootout in Arkansas. And on the final day, I'm in the final group. I make a quintuple bogey on my second hole.
Mm.
I mean, it really like on the second hole. So like already like plans go awry. I'm like, what the heck is that? And the next hole, I almost go in the water, but I managed to get it out to the side, chip it up, make a par. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? The good news, it happened early. So I got 15 holes left. What can I do with these 15 holes? I'm going to give it everything I got because I still have a chance. Because this course is playing tough for everybody. It's not just for me. So what are we going to do about it? And I was 5 over through three, and I managed to get it back down to 1 over that day. And I lost by 1 stroke. And people actually called me a psychopath because even though I made a quintuple bogey, I mean, I was still giving the leaders a run for their money.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, this is the Gina Kim that I know. This is where I know I'm supposed to be. Like even if I made a double on that hole, I probably would have won. But
Yeah.
but more than anything, more than the winning, the fact that I was able to turn it around from a quintuple bogey when things could have gone sideways so quickly, and I could have collapsed right there. I told myself, you don't have the luxury to get upset and let it fall apart when you have a job in front of you. You can go have a mental breakdown after the round, but as of right now, you have a job in front of you. Finish the job, and then we can deal with it later. So I guess it's very tough love, but I mean, that's just how I know I've always operated and succeeded with.
Was this intimate level of self-awareness something you were born with, your parents modeled for you? Where does it come from?
I think to a certain level, I think I've always had some sort of self-awareness. I get very reflective. I think a lot. But I also believe my environment. My mom and dad, both PhD
Mm,
professors, they had to work hard for their PhD degrees. My coach, he's actually he's a minister. He's a
oh,
priest. Um,
huh,
and so kind of how faith kind of goes hand in hand for me with my golf. And so just
yeah,
seeing these hardworking people around me, I think's really shaped me. My
yeah,
parents have always been nothing's going to be handed to you.
mm,
You have to take the initiative to go and make something of use yourself.
yeah,
And then also, like, I majored in psychology at Duke, and I've always found it very interesting.
yeah,
Um, one of the things that my professor said was 75% of people would go through what we would consider trauma based on the DSM 5, but not everyone turns out to be quote unquote broken or miserable or with crappy lives. Some of them turn out to be the most successful human beings in society. Why is that? And that question really intrigued me a lot. And so
mm.
I've always been a big fan of finding answers.
I love that. So if you weren't playing golf professionally, what do you think you'd be doing?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind being a sports psychologist,
Huh,
or going to med school, or actually maybe possibly college athletics. Just watching
yeah,
players grow and develop. I've just been very interested in the whole developmental side of seeing athletes become who they are, versus when they first came in. So
yeah.
I've always been big on that.
Really, really neat. So when you graduated Duke, technically speaking, was your golf game ready for the professional level?
I think my golf game was ready. I don't think mentally I was ready. Um,
Yeah.
I walked out I came out onto the LPGA tour thinking I was the hot stuff and that I was gonna be totally fine and I didn't have to go crazy about it. Well, guess what? There's 145 other players who think they're the hot stuff. So it's like, you're not the only one, girlfriend. Everyone else thinks the same way. So what gives other players competitive edge? Like, what gives Nelly Corda a competitive edge? Why are some people who dominated in college golf suddenly struggle and it takes a while for them to get there versus other people who just hit the ground running? Like, why is that? I think that was something that I struggled with a lot. Um, but I think going through the struggles that I did, had I not gone through that, I don't think I'd be where I am right now. And
Yeah.
so I would like to say that, you know, yes, it did hurt, but it was meaningful. And I made sure I would learn something from it on the other side. And so I don't regret anything one bit. I
Yeah.
think it all happened for a reason. I'm a big believer in that.
I echo that. I'm curious, that first year playing professionally, what did you notice or what maybe surprised you about the other 145 women that you were surrounding yourself with that season that maybe surprised you or you didn't expect coming out of college?
I This is going to sound really weird, but I think I was more shocked at how much, like, how less how many balls they hit less than what I expected. Like, in terms of grinding it out.
Mm,
Like starting from college or starting when I started playing golf all the way up to like college, I had just always been, you better sit at that range and you better get it going till you can do with your eyes closed, putting same way, chipping same way. Just stay on the golf course and don't even bother coming back home till you get it right. Like, I've always been that kind of person.
yeah.
And I see some girls, like, they'll hit 20 minutes, 30 minutes of balls, move over to putting, get their drills out, do their stuff, 30 minutes, go to chipping, do the same thing. And then they go out, play 9 holes. Then they're done for the day. And I'm like, what? What? No way. But when I look back on it, these girls, they were practicing with intention. Like, they knew themselves so well.
Yes.
They knew what worked for them and what didn't work for them. So they just managed their time so well that they just got the things that they needed to get done, like maintenance work basically, and then went out to go learn the course and then go work out and basically keep that consistent lifestyle and not run themselves into the ground. Because by the time I struggled to make the cut and then I made it to the weekend, I was basically crashing because I was so exhausted mentally and physically. Because I've just been in fight or flight mode, having to learn about every single blade of grass on that golf course when like other girls are like, yep, maintenance work is done. That's good enough. I'll figure it out when we get out on the course. So that
Mm.
skill of adaptability when situations call for something else, like these girls will stand up there and talk with their caddies and say, hey, situation changed. I'm thinking this shot. I'm seeing this kind of shot. What do you think? And they'll
Mm.
go up and they'll execute it perfectly, even though they weren't grinding out on the range all day. So it was just so cool to see all of that. And I think it gave me a bit of a shock to my system because I thought all of them were out there grinding all day and it wasn't the facts. It wasn't true.
It's so, you probably don't know this. It's so timely, your response. I love it for so many reasons, but literally, so we're recording this, what is today? March 12th. So I think on Monday, whatever Monday was, the 9th, I just released an episode that is all about the grinder identity trap. Like that belief we all who want to be great, all of us have that belief that it's more and more and more that gets us through to have that next level opportunity. And here you are witnessing firsthand with the best freaking golfers in the world. Oh, wait, they do this maintenance work. And because they don't run themselves into the ground physically, they actually have the emotional and psychological bandwidth available to be adaptable, resilient, patient, and persistent when they need it most. Awesome experience.
Yeah, I think my definition of confidence has changed over the years in the sense that like
Oh.
back then when I was confident, the way I thought of it was like I'm confident because I feel like I'm not going to miss a shot. These
Mm.
days my version of confidence is I know I'm going to miss a shot out there. I'll probably hit the tree or something, but I'm confident enough to adapt to the situation and to find a way out of it. Like I'm confident that I will be able to solve the problem with what I got. And all it has to be is just good enough to get it out there. I mean,
Mm.
each of my Epson Tour wins last year, I dunked it in the water at least once.
Mm.
And I tell girls all the time, you'd be surprised how many mistakes you can make and still win. Like it does not have to be a perfect round of golf. You just gotta hustle, as my coach would say. He's like, Gina, you just go to the range that morning and you figure out where the ball's going and you just go out there and you just freaking hustle. Like, see shot, hit shot, okay, next shot, process, okay, adapt, and then just let the elite athlete in you do its job.
Mm.
Like, you're gonna have that instinct. You just gotta get out of your own way and let the elite athlete just play. It's a game after all. And I'm like, okay, okay. So I think that's where my confidence comes from now.
For those of you listening, there was so much wisdom in those last 3 minutes, Gina shared. That was incredible. I love hearing about the evolution of confidence. Like that definition is truly so next level. You're right. So many people think it's, oh, if I just do more, that confidence will come. But it's surrender. It's acceptance of things. The golf is not a game of perfect. And I love how you said, like, people are surprised by how many mistakes you can make and still win. So for you listening, please go listen to those last few minutes again and again. That's the message you probably need to hear on repeat if you're struggling to make meaningful progress. Now, Gina, you said something really interesting, earlier, and it's been a theme in our conversation: process, process, process. When you got introduced to this new frame of mind, if you will, was there any resistance early on to fully surrendering and accepting this focus on process?
To be honest with you, no. And the reason
Mm.
why I say that is because by the time I met my current coach back then, and when I met my psychologist, I was so mentally deep in a hole and just struggling so bad
Mm.
to the point where I was pretty much like, I'm willing to hear anything. I don't care what it is. You could go tell me to go stand on one leg and go try something. I would do it. Like I was so done with everything that I was just willing to hear anybody out for a new, fresh perspective because I knew I was just
Yeah.
mentally stuck and I just could not put my
Mm.
finger on how to fix it or how to even get around this problem. And so, I mean, my coach always tells me, like, I'm glad you were willing to listen to it because I know, not all players are going to buy in so quickly. Like, there will be some resistance because it's going against everything they've known and believed about.
Yeah.
And I just told my coach, like, Coach, I've struggled so much for so long that, like, I've I've pretty much accepted that the way I've done things is not working anymore. If
Mm.
anything, it's just been hurting me, and I'm sick of the way of doing the way I have always been doing. I'm just sick of it at this point. I want nothing to do with it. It served me back then. Now it doesn't. I need something else. And so I think in that sense, for me to struggle that badly was necessary in order for me to put my ego down and finally humble myself and reinvent the wheel, basically.
When in your journey did you stop having fun or finding the same level of enjoyment that kind of led you to that path, which I'm going to tentatively label rock bottom, if you will?
I would say probably towards the later half of my rookie year. At the
Okay.
beginning, it was still fascinating. It was still fun. It was stressful, but I was just so fascinated about being a pro golfer and the
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle that came with it. But then once I started struggling even more and there was more on the line and I'm putting more self inflicted pressure, suddenly I'm like, well, what am I doing out here? But we managed to keep the card. Okay, well, something's working, so I guess we're just going to
Mm-hmm.
keep going. 2023 comes around. First half of the season, missing cut, missing cut. I'm crying. Everybody's stressed. But somehow I have a great week at Portland because that week, once again, I was just kind of like, F it. I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm going to go back to Q school. At this
Mm.
point, there's nothing to lose. And as soon as I surrendered all of that, I have my best finish to date tied for third at the Portland Classic. And so then that's how I saved my card. I went to Asia Swing and I saved my card. And I'm like, well, that's weird. 2024 comes around. We still have not fixed the root cause. It's
Uh,
still there. And I'm like, it's okay. This year's going to be different. No, missing cut, missing cut. And by this point, I was so deep in the hole. Like, I kept hoping for like another miraculous week that would save my card again. It never came around. So then
mm.
I'm even more defeated. And I'm like, oh, my luck's finally run out. Like, now I have nowhere to go. And I just lost my card and I lost my job.
Yeah.
This sucks. Um, and so it was just a few years of just being so stressed and not allowing myself to have fun that I was questioning, why am I out here? What am I doing
Yeah.
out here? What was the whole reason, the whole purpose of this? I thought I was going to enjoy it. I'm not enjoying it right now. It is terrible. Maybe I need to go get a job.
Yeah.
And so uh thankfully my coach talked me off the cliff and
Yeah.
he said, Gina, you haven't given it everything yet. Let's just stop here. Let's take a moment, take a breather, you know. Let's go through each part of the game, including what he would call spirit of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what's your why? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
out here? Why are you doing this? Okay, do you still feel that way? Okay, well, then it's not that you hate golf, you just hate the situation you're in. There's a big
Yeah.
difference in that. And so just kind of going through and saying out loud, like, okay, this is how I've always been. This is what's not working. I'm willing to try this. Let's go try that out. And it's the situation that I hate, not
Mm.
not the golf itself.
Wow.
And
Did
so,
you agree with your coach when he suggested that you hadn't given it everything yet at that particular moment?
well, I was like, "What do you mean I haven't given it everything?" Like, I'm over here, like, grinding my butt off, like, with shots and repetitions, and I'm just pouring my life and soul into this. Like, what do you mean? And I'm looking back on it. I mean, spirit of the game was not there. So I'm basically doing
Mm,
it just to do it. Like, we're
yeah,
just literally going through the motions.
yeah.
And so I was like, and so that's my coach has always been big about purpose. It needs to be a very
Mhm.
purposeful practice. Why are you out there? What exactly are you trying to accomplish? And he's like, Gina, you're just out here just to be out here. So you're
Mm,
wasting hours, to be honest. If you have no purpose and no intention, you might as well just not come out at all. And he's been firm with me, and when I start to panic, and he said, Gina, chasing the dream is the dream. That whole process, that is the dream. The process of getting better. He's like, if you don't understand that, then you need to go get a job.
mm,
so and so after hearing that, I'm like, you know what, you're right. Let me get back to what we were working on. And even when I was stressed and even coming down the stretch, I was in contention. I slowly started getting used to that pressure. And if anything, I started to enjoy it. Like if my
mm.
heart starts pounding and my hands get sweaty, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the right place. We're doing something good and we're doing something right.
Yes.
And so I would just get so excited about it. And then I don't know, something just clicks for me. And
Yeah.
I sometimes I almost like black out. I don't even
Mhm.
know what I'm doing, but it just happens. Like my body just hits the shot that I was envisioning and it happens. And then next thing you know, I'm holding the trophy. And that's still one of the things that I can't really quite explain to people, like how it happened. Like I just can't logically tell you, but I
Mhm.
can tell you there was a certain feeling when I got over the shot and I'm like, this is it. I know
Yeah.
it. And there's just so much clarity behind it and it happens. So,
Yeah. That's flow, the subconscious taking over. It's an
yes.
indescribable feeling. That's how I describe it sometimes, not at your level of golf, of course, but even on the golf course, so that immersive flow state where you blink and it's like, how did that happen? Oh my goodness, I blacked out. That's how I describe it too. So I get you there. You said something interesting too, like your first year professionally, you were just enjoying the experience of being on the tour, being a professional. And then you kind of brought it full circle where your coach challenged you, like, you can either fall in love with the lifestyle or fall in love with the process. And so many people listening, I know, get excited about the prospect of, winning their club championship, earning their card, playing in a USAM qualifying event, but they don't love the process. They don't love doing the uncomfortable self-reflection, deep identity level work that's necessary to get there. So just hearing you highlight it through your unique lens, so powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so I think I mean, I've kind of held this belief for a while now that, I'm confident enough to know that I can win out here and that I can do some pretty amazing stuff, but I'm also humble enough to know I'm not entitled to any of it.
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
like, you know, everyone else is working so hard. So what makes me different? What is my competitive edge? And I I had to think about it. I'm like, well, the way I play the game is different from everybody else. It's not the
Hmm.
same. There's only one Gina Kim who's playing the game a certain way. And I like to believe it's good enough to win out here. And how I practice, how I see the course, mindset, how I'm viewing things, how I choose to react to things,
Mm,
it's not going to be the exact same as other people. So I'd like to believe that's how I'm training myself to get a competitive edge. I
yeah.
can react better than other people. I can choose to focus on the right things quicker than other people. Um, so yeah,
Today, how do you find fun in the process, the pursuit of your goals that might look significantly different than it did a few years ago?
I think I've just enjoyed going through the steps
Mm,
consciously
yeah.
and seeing myself staying disciplined to that. I mean, people might call it boring or whatever, but
Mm,
I mean, the way I go about my putting routine, I get up on the green, I have my ruler, I hit one-handed putts off the ruler. Then I hit two hands off the ruler. Then I have my putting mat. Then I pace it out to certain distances, just check on speed control. Then I start free putting, doing my routine. Like it's very clear on how much time I spend on each one and what I'm going to do
okay.
each step after the other. I mean, that's part of the reason why I've gotten so into landscaping work, like mowing my lawn.
Huh.
I have a mowing schedule. I know which direction I'm gonna mow my grass on a certain day. I have an edger. There's a certain day I go and do the edges. Like, I think I've slowly embraced the monotony and the predictability of these routines.
Mm,
And so when golf itself is being unpredictable and crazy, I find a almost like a safe space where I can just go sit there
yeah.
and
Yeah.
chill out for a bit. And one of the podcasts that I listened to was about this lady who had to land planes on these battleships when she was in the military at nighttime. One
Mm,
of the things that stuck out to me was, elite performers don't rise up to the occasion; they fall back on the routines. And so I've found a lot of peace in that. So when, I hit it in the water or I hit a tree and it bounced into the volunteers tent, I know my process. It's not going to change. And there is a certain sense of security in that. And that sense of security really brings me a lot of joy. So,
mm. Those last 3 minutes, again, it's another masterclass and elite level performance. I love that. So I'm going to ask you an out of the box question. Is there an unusual habit, a superstition, or something others might label absurd that you do in preparation for a competitive round or during, just to help you really lock in?
mm, I, I mean, it's not really very niche. I know other golfers who do this, but like I'll hit like I'll have 3 balls in my hand and usually I'm putting right before I go tee off. It's
Mm,
usually like 3 4-footers where I pretty much know I'm gonna make them in, but, like, I close my eyes and I listen to the ball dropping in the hole. Like,
mm,
I'm not watching the ball go in the hole. I'm just listening to the sound of hearing the ball drop in the hole. And then I take that sound and I basically drill it into my head. I'm like, "That's what you're gonna be hearing all day today. So walk
mm.
walk with it and go to the tee."
Phenomenal. I like that a lot. So I want to get you out of here on this. I mean, there's so much knowledge and wisdom in here. I'm so grateful you were kind enough to join me and share. But I want you to imagine that in the middle of a golf course, there's a billboard. And this billboard can be seen from all 18 tee boxes. And the people on that golf course that day are struggling in the pursuit of their goals, just like you had that period of challenge. And you have an opportunity to write a message on that billboard as a reminder, words of inspiration, if you will. What are you writing on that billboard for all to see?
Be intentional about where you're going. Um, I think intention really holds a lot more power than what I would give it credit for back in the past. Um, and I think just through lived experiences, it really changes the trajectory of a lot of things. I mean, each shot that I'm hitting on the range, to me, I'll think to myself, this is the shot to win the US Open. Or
Mm,
this is the shot where I have to get out from the trees to try to save myself and help me make the cut. Or, what exactly am I working on today? Am I getting the
mm,
right swing feel going? It could be anything, wherever you want to put your mind to. But I think having the intention and making the choice to be intentional about how you're going to do things really puts a lot of positive energy and a lot of power behind where you want to go. I think people underestimate the power of the subconscious. You may not consciously know it, but your subconscious is reacting to things quicker than you can even register it. So, whatever you feed that, it's going to end up becoming a reality. So, what are you choosing to give it today?
I didn't think the conversation could get better, but I think it just did. Absolutely incredible. Gina, thank you so much for joining me. Where can our listeners go just to follow your journey, to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm Gina K0504 on Insta.
Perfect.
Same on Twitter. But I'm mostly active on Insta. So, um, you can follow me there and follow my journey as I
Good.
try to make my place out on the LPGA tour.
Yes, and I will put all of that in the show notes. Gina, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening, so much value in this conversation. I'm excited to hear everything you learned. Go back and listen twice, 3 times, taking notes. And then, most important of all, go start applying, implementing all of the tactics, the reframes, and the recommendations that Gina shared to help her bounce back and continue well on her way of this incredible journey she's on so far. And share this episode. There are so many high performers in your life who need the inspiration, the reframes, the different ways of viewing challenges and setbacks to get out of their own way to achieve their potential. So share this episode, drop a rating and review if you continue to find value, and make today the best day yet. We'll catch you in the next episode.